The night began with glitter, but it ended in blood. Inside a grand Manhattan penthouse, the city lights sparkled like diamonds against the glass walls. Victor Hayes, a real estate millionaire worshipped by society, was hosting a dinner for his closest business partners. He laughed, raised glasses of wine, and spoke of empire and power as if he owned the world. To them, he was a charming man, a visionary who built towers from nothing. To Elena, his 6-month pregnant wife, he was a monster, hiding behind a perfect smile. She carried a tray of food into the dining room, her hands trembling under the weight of crystal dishes. No one noticed the bruise faintly blooming on her wrist, hidden beneath her sleeve. No one cared that her smile was brittle, her steps unsteady. To Victor's guests, she was merely decoration, a dutiful wife, a silent shadow in his kingdom. But silence has limits. Later that night, after the guests had gone, Elena whispered softly, "Victor, please, we need to talk. I can't keep pretending." Her voice shook, but she gathered courage for the life growing inside her. She hoped, maybe for the last time, that there was a shred of love left in him. Victor turned, his expression twisting into something cruel. "You embarrass me in front of my friends," he snarled, stepping closer. "Do you think anyone cares what you feel? You're nothing without me. Nothing." Her heart pounded. Fear clashed with fury. "I'm carrying your child," she pleaded, her voice breaking. "Don't you understand? He deserves a father who—" The blow came faster than she could finish. His hand struck her face with brutal force. She stumbled, clutching her belly. "Stop!" she screamed, but her cry only fueled his rage. He shoved her against the marble counter, his words venom. "That baby won't save you. You're weak, Elena. Pathetic." Her vision blurred. Pain shot through her body. The sound of her own heartbeat echoed in her ears, louder than the storm rising outside the penthouse windows. She fell, the world crashing into darkness as her body hit the floor. Hours later, a neighbor heard the faint sound of breaking glass and called for help. By the time paramedics arrived, Elena was barely breathing. Blood stained the hem of her dress. Her unborn child clung to life inside her womb. The city, vast and indifferent, glittered on. Victor? He poured himself another drink, staring out over the skyline as if nothing had happened. To him, this was control. To her brothers, Mateo and Diego Torres, this would soon become war. Because the moment they heard what Victor had done, they swore an oath no court could silence. He will pay. And when two brothers rise to protect their sister, the city itself will tremble. The city saw Victor Hayes as the perfect husband. Tall, polished, always dressed in the sharpest suits, he was the picture of success. Whenever cameras flashed, he knew exactly how to smile, how to rest his hand on Elena's shoulder, and whisper the kind of words that made people swoon. "My wife is my greatest blessing," he told reporters at a charity gala just weeks earlier. His arm had been wrapped around her as if she were a rare jewel. The photographs appeared in glossy magazines, headlines praising him as the model family man. But behind those closed penthouse doors, promises turned to poison. In the early months of their marriage, Elena had believed his words. He showered her with roses, whispered about building a family, and promised her safety. He once held her hand at a candlelit dinner and said, "You will never cry because of me, Elena. I swear it." She wanted to believe him. She had grown up with so little, working as a schoolteacher, dreaming of a home filled with warmth. Victor seemed to offer that dream. For a while, she convinced herself the anger in his eyes was just stress, that the harsh words were just frustration. But lies always rot from the inside. The cracks began slowly. A cold glance at a dinner table, an insult slipped between smiles, a hand gripping her arm too tightly when no one was watching. Elena swallowed her pain, whispering to herself that love was sacrifice, that one day he would soften. But Victor was not softening, he was sharpening. His career soared, his wealth doubled, and with every success came a darker hunger for control. When Elena became pregnant, she thought things would change. She imagined Victor kneeling beside her, resting his ear against her belly, speaking to their unborn child. For a brief time, he played the role, rubbing her shoulders, buying tiny clothes, kissing her stomach. He even promised her one night, "This baby will make me a better man." It was a lie wrapped in silk. Weeks later, he came home late, smelling of perfume she didn't wear. His phone buzzed with messages he wouldn't let her see. When she asked gently, "Where were you?" he smiled that public smile, cold and distant. "Business dinner," he lied, pouring himself whiskey. She wanted to believe him, but the lipstick stain on his collar screamed the truth louder than any denial. The betrayal burned, but worse was his cruelty. Whenever Elena showed fear or sadness, Victor weaponized it. "Do you think anyone will believe you?" he sneered one evening after an argument. "I'm the millionaire. You're just a schoolteacher who got lucky." His voice was sharp, cutting deeper than his fists ever could. Elena learned to cry in silence. At night, she pressed her face into the pillow so the neighbors wouldn't hear. She wrapped her arms around her belly, whispering lullabies to a baby who hadn't yet entered the world. She clung to hope. The faint idea that maybe once the child was born, Victor's heart would change. But hope is fragile, and Victor enjoyed shattering it. On the morning of her 6th month, he placed his hand on her stomach, looked into her eyes, and said, "I will protect you both forever." It should have been a promise of love. Instead, it became the cruelest joke of all, because just hours later, his rage would put her in a hospital bed, fighting for her life. And while Victor polished his public mask, Elena's brothers were about to strip it off, piece by piece. The storm outside mirrored the storm inside the Hayes penthouse. Rain lashed against the floor-to-ceiling windows, thunder rumbling over Manhattan. But the loudest sound inside that luxury prison was Victor's rage. Elena had tried one more time to reach him. She set dinner on the table, her hands trembling as she whispered, "Victor, we can't live like this anymore. I'm scared for the baby." Her voice was small, fragile, but honest. She wasn't accusing him, she was begging. Victor's eyes, bloodshot from whiskey, narrowed into slits. "Scared?" he repeated, his tone mocking. "You should be scared of losing me. Without me, you're nothing." Her heart